A couple of weeks ago I did something I'm not proud of. I made a video about the upcoming spin-off A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms being a part of my 5-piece series about all Game of Thrones spin-offs that are currently rumored to be in production. It's my worst watched video so far, so I'm assuming a lot of you haven't seen it. Feel free to do so if you want to, but it's not a necessity for this video. The reason I'm not proud of making that video is that I hadn't read the books before making it. During my week of holiday last month, I finally had the chance to read all 3 of the Dunk and Egg novels, which will act as the source material for this series. And it changed my mind completely. Where my original video was fairly positive, I am now highly doubtful as to the success of this spin-off. Quick recap. Last April, HBO greenlighted A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms for its first season, which means we will officially be getting a second spin-off for Game of Thrones. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will be based on a series of 3 books that are collectively known as A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. These books feature stories about Sir Duncan the Tall, a hedge knight nicknamed Dunk, and young Prince Aegon Targaryen, nicknamed Egg. Hence why many people often refer to these books as the Tales of Dunk and Egg. The 3 books that are currently already written are called The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword and The Mystery Knight. And I say currently because George has admitted that he's planning to write at least 3 more stories, starring Dunk and Egg. Season 1 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will be an adaptation of its first book, The Hedge Knight. And that is where my lack of hope for this spin-off becoming a success comes in. These books are short, and I mean really short. The book that I read was a collection of all 3 books into one, and it had 355 pages. Divide that by 3 and each book counts roughly 118 pages, which is simply not enough source material for a full-length season. To give you a comparison, Season 1 of Game of Thrones was based on a book containing 800 pages. And up until Season 5, every season was based on a book of a similar or greater length. Now we can ask ourselves, is the length of the source material the only thing that matters? No, it's not. But when you're making a television adaptation of a novel, it is highly important that you have enough to actually adapt. Over the last 10 years, we can see a trend when it comes to fantasy novels being brought to television. Before 2014, companies such as HBO and Warner Bros. Studied the source material, copied it almost one-on-one, and in the process brought us masterpieces such as the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. The only alterations these companies and writing teams really made was subtracting certain things during the adaptation, to make sure the corresponding book could actually fit into a season or a movie. In the last 10 years, however, these companies have changed their approach. They add things during filming that were not in the books, or they outright change things they don't like. And the quality of fantasy cinema has decreased accordingly. The Lord of the Rings wasn't such a masterpiece because Peter Jackson was a brilliant writer. It was a masterpiece because Peter Jackson used the writing of J.R.R. Tolkien, the brilliant creator of Middle-earth. When Peter Jackson had to write something of his own, during the movie adaptation of The Hobbit, his lack of competence in writing compared to someone like Tolkien became painfully obvious. In my opinion, the more room there is for screenwriters to add their own thoughts to the adaptation of a book, the higher the chances that they will absolutely ruin it for the viewers. So having less pages to work with is a big problem. But, as said before, the length of the books is not the only cause for alarm. The scope of these books is another. Where the A Song of Ice and Fire books tell a detailed story that spans over a period of 3 years, encompassing hundreds, maybe thousands of characters, the scope of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is much smaller. Each Dunk and Egg novel tells a story lasting anywhere between 3 days and a week, with just a handful of characters starring in them. This type of book simply doesn't lend itself for full televised seasons. So how to save this upcoming spin-off? With some strong guidance by George R.R. Martin, I believe these books contain just enough material to make each of them into a successful miniseries. Make 3 one-hour episodes for The Hedge Knight and the Sworn Sword and 4 one-hour episodes for the Mystery Knight. Or, seeing that HBO will want to make maximum bank out of this series, make 6 30-minute episodes for the first 2 books and 8 30-minute episodes for the last one. This is the only way I see this television adaptation of George's beloved earlier works becoming a success. And despite my negativity, I do hope it becomes a success. And I hope the same for this channel. If you liked the video, please leave a like for the algorithm and subscribe to the channel for more. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and your help with achieving that goal is very much appreciated. Now some of you might be thinking, hold up, House of the Dragon is based on a small portion of a book and that series is not bad? Well, that is partly true. House of the Dragon is based on the book Fire and Blood, which describes the first half of the Targaryens' reign over Westeros. 240 pages of this book describe the events of the reign of Viserys Targaryen until the end of the Dance of the Dragons. Which is not a lot, true. But Fire and Blood is a history book, not a written adventure like A Song of Ice and Fire and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. These 240 pages summarize the most important events that happened during 28 years of Targaryen rule. Imagine it like reading your history book from high school. The book gives you the major events and some insight into the most important characters, but it is by no means a detailed story. Which, once again, leaves a lot of what we get to see to the imagination of the writing team. And I think it shows. I would rate the first season of House of the Dragon with a 5, maybe a 6. And bad writing is the main reason. I do hope we will get to see a successful adaptation of the A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms books. They are so well written, I really enjoyed reading them. And I know that these stories are very dear to George, as they are some of the oldest he ever wrote in Westeros. So please, HBO, don't mess this up. Turn these books into a miniseries. Don't let some third-ranged writing team have a go at filling in the gaps or adding their own ideas, because they will think it's well written, but the viewer almost certainly won't. As for myself, as a not so experienced content creator, I really wanted to make more videos to finish my Game of Thrones spin-off series. And by doing that I made a video I wasn't happy about. I learned my lesson though. It won't happen again. Thank you all very much for watching. As you may have noticed, there was no video last week. For now, I am going back to uploading a video once every 2 weeks. The reason for this is that I'm working on something big as a new series for this channel. And that new series needs a lot of research and preparation. I can't tell you when the first video is coming out yet, but I hope you are really going to enjoy it. Thanks again. If you liked the video, please subscribe to see more and leave a like for the algorithm. See you next time.